everybody. Good morning. How are you doing? कैसे हैं आप सब? We will start with our summer camp, Rainbow High. So I want everybody to make big rainbows. Hello. Good morning. Who is not fine? Why are you not fine? Hello. Good morning. Today's session is going to be very interesting because we are going to learn how to do storytelling. Storytelling, we all hear stories from our daddies, our nannies, our mummies, our papas, any guardian you stay with. Some elder sisters and brothers also share stories, है ना. हमारे बड़े लोग हमें सोने से पहले स्टोरी सुनाते ही हैं. बट आज हम लोग सीखेंगे हाउ कैन वी बी स्टोरी टेलर्स. हम लोग कैसे स्टोरी सुना सकते हैं, राइट? इजंट दिस समथिंग न्यू? ये तो बहुत ही एक्साइटिंग हो जाएगा. व्हेन यू गो टू स्लीप टुनाइट, instead of your mama telling you a story, you say I am going to tell you a story today, right? Horror stories are my favorite. I am very scared of horror stories. I can't do horror stories. आज की एक्सरसाइज के लिए we need you, if possible, to get a pen and paper, and don't forget your water bottle. My water bottle is here. I hope you also have your water bottle with you, okay? Because we'll be telling stories, so we will need to stay hydrated. I already tell stories to everybody. Wow, that's lovely. I love Harry Potter. But sometimes I get afraid of horror stories, okay? I like horror, okay? I love unicorn stories. Wow! I'm so glad to see everybody read so much. My voice is not available. Back in team, audio, visual, clear. Yes, I can tell stories on stage. That is amazing. I love this energetic bunch. Very nice. Such enthusiastic kids. Nice. We have a lot of Potterheads here, right? Yeah. You all can go. There is more time to get your paper and pen. No problem at all. Amazing. So what are we doing today? Today we are doing storytelling. When is storytelling? It is today, 24th, 25th tomorrow, which is a Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, छुट्टी. Okay? Tuesday yoga है, but Tuesday को activity नहीं है. Again on 28 and 29, we will do storytelling. Okay? Kashish ma'am had to travel today, so Kashish ma'am could not come. टुडे वी हैव अ न्यू सर. इतने दिन से हम लोग सिर्फ मैम देख रहे थे ना. आज हमारे पास एक सर है. सर का नाम है सुदर्शन सर. What will Sudarshan sir teach us? And who is he? So Sudarshan sir is here with us. And what does he do? Do you know? He helps kids learn and grow. And do you know since when has he been doing it? 2010. Were you born in the year 2010? Quickly type a Y. I was born in 1995, and in 2010 I was in class 10. Were you born in 2010? Type Y. No. Since 2010, he's been teaching kids how to tell stories, okay? So what did he do? He started a company, an organization, which is called Tiny Mike Story. Chotu Tiny Mike, which you use to tell a story. And what is it? पहले उसका नाम पता है क्या था? It was Tiny Monkey. Monkeys, we don't know, like monkeys it was. And then what is it? This is a fun program, okay? And what we do there, we ask kids to come and then they learn how to speak confidently, right? Like you are such confident kids. We learn how to tell stories confidently and tell great stories. He has won so many cool awards, which you will also maybe get when you grow old, right? And then he believes that any kid or any person, if they can feel confident in themselves and they can express themselves, that is the best thing that you can do. So today, let's warmly welcome Sudarshan sir. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
We make no highs in this summer camp. We make big rainbows.
Okay. I'm imagining everybody making big rainbows from every place that they're joining in from. Thank you so much for having me here, Yamini. And it is so nice to see all of your message. I'm seeing hi, hello, hi, hello, hi, rainbow, hello, are very nice. Quickly type in the chat, where are you joining in from? I would love to know which place you're joining in from so that I have an idea of how far my voice is reaching. Where are you joining in from? Type in the chat. Type in the chat. Where are you joining in from? The city, the town, the country, anything that you could write. Okay, I see Delhi. I see Bharti Nagpur. I see Hyderabad. Supraja. Sandeep from Egypt. Oh, wow. Lucknow. Hyderabad. From Good Morning. No, that was just a, okay. Good Morning. Bangalore, Indore, Chennai, Mumbai, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Thane. Oh, wonderful. Now, I want everyone, and you can keep typing your city if you've not, but I want everybody to also imagine this. How incredibly cool is it that you are in a virtual classroom almost with kids from around the country and also around the world? Isn't that amazing? Sometimes, because we're joining in from a small screen, whether it is on a computer or on a phone, we don't realize that we can connect to and we are joining something that is with people from around the world. And that's amazing, no? You liked when Kashish ma'am was doing yoga, and every time she's doing yoga, you feel connected with her. You like with Yamini ma'am is doing all of these activities. I saw you were doing so many different things throughout this different kind of summer camp activities. And we are going to learn how to tell stories about that. Let me tell you a little bit about myself though. Maybe a story about myself will help you understand why I do this. You see, when I was a little kid, I would always go to my mother and say, Mama, tell me a story. Like many of you here, I used to go and say, Mama, tell me a story. And then she'll tell me a story. Then I'd go to my father and say, Papa, tell me a story. And he would tell me a story. I'd go to my grandmom, my granddad, my uncle, my aunt, everybody, and I'd be like, tell me a story. And then they tell a story. My mother had to hear this every single day. Every single day, I'd come back from school and be like, Mama, tell me a story. And then every time she had to come up with a new story, right? So one day she flipped the tables. She said, Sudarshan, you tell me a story. And I was in fifth grade. I was like, wait, how can I tell a story? I don't know any story. And she said, no, there's something that happened in your life today, right? Something that happened on the way to school, something that happened on the way back from school. Just tell me a story about that. And from that day, the tables had flipped. Every day I would come and I would say, Mama, tell me. She'd say, you tell me a story. And then I started telling stories about things I saw. I started telling stories about things I felt, things I read, things I saw, things I thought. And what I realized is this act of telling a story can happen in different ways. Of course, we can tell fictional stories like Harry Potter, beautiful set of stories. Sudha Murthy's stories are actually from her own life. So, stories are great for a lot of different reasons. And when stories are from your own life, stories are beautiful because only you can tell that story. In fact, let me play a couple of stories of some kids, and I want everybody to observe, is this story interesting? And if it's interesting, is this something that's happened with me? Is this something from my life? Are things like these also happening with me? Yeah. So type Y in the chat if you'd like to see. This is Miraya and Kiara who are each going to tell a story. Type Y in the chat and we'll play that. Okay. Here we go.
Read a book. Do it. Water the plants. Read a book. Except watching TV. But after those tasks, I used to still be bored. And Mama, what do I do now? Okay, Miraya, then be bored. What do you mean be bored? Like, do I just stare at the fan or ceiling? I was like, yeah, do that. Do nothing, be bored. I stared at the ceiling. Mama, this stare at the ceiling thing isn't working. Miraya, I'm telling you, you cannot watch TV. Being bored is healthy. You just sit there, do nothing. And so I did nothing. After a few hours, the ceiling started to look different. I took my pen and then I couldn't stop writing. I just went on and on and on. Before I knew it, it was already time for me to sleep. That's when I realized that what my mom had said was right. Being bored is actually good, because then I started to do all these things that I would never think of doing. When I was bored, I started to draw something out of the ordinary. I started to create poems, stories. And so the next time I'm feeling bored, I need to think about it and say, Miraya, it's fine, be bored. Mama, English I know broken to do. We combined that a little. I was in my grandfather's place. I call him Tata. My Tata lives in Mangalore. He has a nice farmhouse and grass. My Tata said something motorcycle. So I was sitting in front. My Tata was sitting behind me. My mama was sitting last. And my hat on top of my head. We went zooming. My grandfather said something fish. Something motorcycle. Mama translated. You have to sit back. You've gone a little taller. I can't see now. I sat behind him and we got the fish. He gave me 2 fish bags and said, hold it. But then I was like, how will I hold you? And I was holding my Tata like this and then my hand like this, holding 2 fish bags. That's the story of me, my Tata, and the precious motorcycle.
Okay, so did you like those stories? Do you also get some bored sometimes and do what Mirai was doing? Do you have a Tata that you also have amazing stories with? Tata is grandfather for Kiara, and you'll have amazing stories with your grandmother, grandfather, uncle, aunt, everyone. Yes. So today, what we are going to do is we are going to start exploring all of these stories. When you tell a story from your own life, from your experience, from things you see, things you feel, then the stories are really special because only you can tell the story. Everyone here is an expert on one thing. You are the best at one thing. You know more about one thing more than anyone else in the world. And you know what that is? Do you know what that is? It's your own life. Nobody knows about your life more than you. Which is why when you tell stories from your own life, things you observe, things you feel, things you experience, that becomes a story that only you can tell. And that's what we learn. How do we tell stories from everyday life? For that, here's what I want everyone to do. I want everyone, if you already have it, great. If not, go and get pen, paper, sketch pen, and something to draw on. And in addition to this, go and sit next to somebody that you can tell a story to. This could be your mother, father, uncle, aunt, a friend, anyone's okay. What you are going to do is you are going to take pen, paper, and go and sit next to somebody that you can tell a story. And I'll tell you when you can tell the story also. Okay? Will everyone do that? Yes? Okay. Okay. I'm seeing all your chats. Yes, great. Something that will help you think of stories is this small activity that we'll do. On the piece of paper, I want you to draw a river, and I'll keep telling you more about this over time, but I want you to draw a river. A river usually starts from a mountain and goes into sea. So I want you to draw a nice little river, and maybe your river looks something like perhaps this. Maybe this is how your river looks. It starts from a mountain and it goes somewhere else. So I want you to start drawing this river. And as you draw this river, imagine that the start of the river is the start of the camp, the last 2 weeks. And where you are right now, the end of the river is today. And at different points in this river, you will have different kinds of stories that happen. And story meaning what? Things you observe, things you feel. So I want you to just draw the river on a piece of paper and start thinking of what are the different things that happened as I went through the last 2 weeks. Now, this could be something related to a yoga session. It could be something related to, I know you did no fire cooking. something like that. Maybe it could be something related to the Zentangle activity you did, or the paper mache activity that you did, or all the other interesting things that you've done. Or maybe it could be something that happened outside of the session. Maybe you did a small activity here and you went and you showed to your parents. And when you did that, when you showed it to your parents, they said something. And maybe that makes you think of a story. So that's what you're going to do. You are going to start imagining drawing a river, and on the river from top to bottom, I want you to start thinking of what are the different moments, what are the different stories that happened in the last 2 weeks. The start of the river is when we started, and right now we are here at the bottom of the river. Okay. And to help you think of this better, to help you jog your memory, we actually have a small 40-second snapshot of all of this last camp. Do you want to see it? Put Y in the chat if you want to see it. Yes. Now it doesn't have everyone's pictures, of course. It has only a few people. So this is just to help you think of everything that has happened. Okay. Everybody wants to see that, and you can keep drawing in the meanwhile. Okay, everyone wants to see that. So, okay, let's look at a quick snapshot of the last. Okay, wonderful. So everyone, wherever you are, see if you can give everyone a round of applause. What you could do is you could also take your hand and extend and give yourself a pat on the back if you've done any of these activities. This is so cool. I love seeing all of these, and I would love to hear stories from you as well. What I would love for you to do now is, if you are drawing that river, and we'll give you more time to draw the river, so it doesn't need to be perfect right now, but hopefully as I'm talking, you're starting to draw and you're starting to think of, while I was doing the pot, or while I was making the pot, something happened and there's a story there. Maybe you're thinking, oh, when I did the no fire cooking and I went and I showed it to my mother, she said something, and maybe there's a story. Or maybe something happened that was outside of the camp, and maybe that's an interesting story also. So think of as many different stories as you can, and on the river of life, see if you can start mapping them, as in you can start plotting them. Okay, great. There is this one video that I'm going to play of the kids who've told the story, who say the same thing but slightly better. In that, they say how every single moment in your life could become a story. So, what we are learning here is, how do we find stories in everyday life? So, for some of you, you might immediately think of 10 different stories that happened in the last 2 weeks. For some of you, you would be like, yeah, I mean, I did this, but where's the story there? So, for everyone, here's what I want you to think now. Every day now, whenever you do something, I want you to think of, could this be a story? Something happened. Oh, could this be a story that I could tell? Maybe somebody said something and you felt something. And you could be like, could this be a story that I could tell? Because the more you start asking yourself, could this be a story, the more you'll start observing everyday life. Okay? Here's a video where some kids at Tiny Mike's Story say the same thing.
Time something like happens or I feel something, I think, could this be a story? Where do stories come from? For me, I think they come from everyday life. Even Sudarshan says this in the reflection calls. He says that stories can be in everyday life. All you have to do is think about your entire day, and then you might find a small seed that could turn into a great story. Whenever something like not unexpected unexpected happens, then I think this could be a story. Let's say you were on your computer and you found something that was very interesting. You clicked on it and you found something totally brand new. You can talk about that. You can talk even about the smallest issue. As I reflect in my day, I think, oh, I met a dog and the dog was really cute, and that made me think about, oh, even I want a dog. Could this be a story? My mom who scolded my mother, I was thinking, could this be a story? It could be really small things, like I found someone's handwriting that was really neat and beautiful, and even I want handwriting like that. That could be a story. When I hit Aditya so badly, he started crying for half an hour. Then I was thinking, could this be a story? Let's say in school you had you've gotten a low mark and you're like, oh no, my mama's going to scold me. Like that. You can talk about that. Just don't tell your mother. Me and my friend were just roaming around and we saw a rainbow on the ground. I was thinking, could this be a story? Whenever different ideas come in my mind, I just think of this. Could this be a story? Anytime something happens, you can be like, could this be a story? Could that be a story? Could this become the best story anybody has said? The only person who can tell your own story life.
Okay, so what were the kids saying? Every moment of your life can become a story that you tell. And today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to start thinking of what's an interesting story. And I saw some of the messages. I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story. I want to hear all your stories. So at the end of this session, I would like all of you to record a really nice story and put it on the Habuild group. That will help us see what you enjoyed in the camp. That will help us understand what did you enjoy in this story. That will also help us understand your life and your story and your surroundings better. Okay, so over the next few minutes, I want you to start thinking of how can I make the stories that I tell interesting. So the first is we're drawing the river and we're thinking of all the different moments there where there could be interesting stories. And then what I want you to do is, if you get lost sometimes, like, I don't know what story to tell, I don't know if there is an interesting moment in my life to talk about. At that time, there is a very simple trick you could use. This trick, do you want to know what it is? Do you want to know what the trick is? Put Y in the chat. Put Y in the chat if you'd like to. Yes. You want to know what the trick is to find amazing, interesting stories? Put Y in the chat. Y for yes. Y for yes. Put Y in the chat. Okay, I saw one Y. Okay, I saw multiple Ys now. Okay. So this trick is called zoom in. Zoom in basically is you zoom into something specific. How do you use this trick? Let's find out. We have another video where the kids teach you this technique as well.
How you felt and what you observed. One day, Sudarshan asked me, okay, Miraya, what happened in your day? And I was like, nothing happened. All I did was go to school, came back, got bored, and that's the end. But then Sudarshan said, no, what happened in the school? And I said, nothing. Then he said, what happened in the school bus? At first I said, nothing. But then I realized that there was this one tiny little bug that came into our bus and everybody went wild. Then I realized, oh, this can be a story. I was coming back in my school bus. As I was looking out the window, I saw this little bug. It had antennas about 2 or 3 times larger than it was. Oh my god. It was zooming throughout the bus. It sat on somebody's shoulder. It sat on somebody's head. On somebody's nose. It got so chaotic. Everybody was like, Didi, come here. 21 or 22 people versus a small tiny bug.
the part one.
So now I think one way to find a story is to just zoom in into one particular part of your day and then see if could this be a story, could that part be a story, could this tiny thing be a story. What Mariah said is you can observe, zoom in things that happen on your outer stuff. But you can also find stories inside your inner stuff. Let me explain. Let's say one day you failed on an exam miserably and you're not telling anybody about this and you can't observe anything. But that had feelings inside you. You can talk about your feelings. Or you might even have thoughts. Let's say one day I will become a king or a queen, whatever gender you are. And you can explain about that as the story. How will I rule this kingdom? How will I rule this queendom? Feelings, emotions, thoughts. How did your stomach feel after a good cookie? So what Kiara said was your feelings, that you could think of a story from what you felt. And what I said was things that you can observe. That could be a story. So if you combine both of these, they could become an amazing story. These are both ways to become great stories. So stories can come from how you felt and what you observed. And that's why Sudarshan asks us to think about two things: what happened throughout the day and what we felt about what happened in the day. And that is how we get our most extraordinary stories. The best stories are something you have.
Okay. So, what did we hear? We heard that stories, no matter how great, start from something very simple. No matter how big a stage you speak at, the start is always very tiny, which is why we call it the tiny mic story. We say, what do you observe in everyday life? What do you feel about what you observe in everyday life? And then, could you tell a story about that? And in fact, we have a certain format of how to tell the stories also. So, as you are drawing this river of life, I'm hoping that your river of life is making you think of different things. It's making you think of different stories. And if you are slightly confused, here's some suggestions. You don't have to talk about everything in every single story. You can talk about one particular part of your entire river, your entire experience of the camp, and just tell that story. When you think of, oh, there was that moment that happened, you don't need to add everything to it. That's why you zoom in to something specific. And then if it's difficult for you to zoom into something specific, what you then start thinking of is, maybe something happened and I felt something, and maybe that is the story. So a great story is something that's a mix of something you saw and something that you felt. And when you do both of these things, for all the parents listening, what this does is it helps you develop creativity, because you're starting to observe beauty in everyday life. You're starting to find magic in mundane. And when you start observing what you're feeling and start telling it in the stories, your stories become unique. Your stories then start becoming a way for you to express different emotions as well. And that's why stories are beautiful. That's why stories are great as a tool. The goal by itself is not to tell a story, but the story becomes a tool for us to develop creativity, to develop confidence, to develop what's called emotional intelligence. And that's what we do. And the way we do it is through what we call a simple tiny mic story. So a tiny mic story is something that is 1 minute only. It can't be more. It's only 1 minute, and it is about your life. It is about something that happened, something that you felt. And you have to share it first in your family, and then you could also share it with other people. And eventually, like you saw Kiara there or Miraya there, and we've got a few other kids who are going to share the story here as well. For everyone listening, I want you to, as you're drawing the river, start thinking of what's my tiny Mike story? What's a 1 minute story that I can share from the camp, from everything that has happened, from everything that I saw, everything that I did, everything that I felt, and how can I tell it in 1 minute? Now, 1 minute is not a lot, but that's what's going to happen. Because it's 1 minute, you're going to make your story really small, and only the most important parts go into your stories. Okay. Would you like to see some of the kids give a demo of this? Because we've got 3 kids who are going to help us see examples of different stories. Would you like to see that? Type Y in the comments. Why? Type Y. Okay. Super. Great. So, everybody, please welcome 3 people who are going to help us do this. We've got Adya, Atharva, and Abhignya. Everybody say hi. Do the rainbow hi as they do here. Rainbow hello, everybody. Yes, Atharva. Yes. Okay, super. Let me quickly understand a little bit about where you guys are from. So we'll start off with Adya. Adya, where are you joining in from?
I'm joining in from Hyderabad.
You're joining in from Hyderabad. Okay, and what are the things that you like about Hyderabad, Adya?
My friends.
You like your friends? Aha. And I know that your mother is doing yoga with Saurav all the time, no? With Habuild?
Yes.
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 What does she like about it so much? Do you know? Have you
My
asked her?
mother will say, okay, come, you also do with me. You should also do. You should also get an. She will say all the theory for say to do yoga.
Aha. Okay. Great. So your mother is a Habuild regular, and now you are also becoming a part of it. That is cool. That is so nice. Yes. And then with Adya, we also have Atharva. Atharva, hi. Where are you joining in from?
I'm joining from Pune.
From Pune.
Yes,
Aha.
Pune.
And what do you not like about Pune so much?
Mostly the rain because the rain is very heavy and the doors are very loud.
That's
So
right.
I feel scared.
Okay. So for everyone listening in, type in the chat if it's also raining where you are. Type Y or type rain, RAIN, or just type R in case there's rain where you are right now. Okay, so you don't like that as much. You know, when I was a kid, I used to really dislike the rains because going out and playing became a problem and everything used to get mucky and stuff. Now, as I've grown older, I've started to like the rains a little bit. Okay, great. And Tharva, you have a younger sibling also, yes?
Yes, his name
Right.
is Arnav.
Uh-huh. And do you really like having a younger sibling, or sometimes it is like, "Arey, it's like the rain. Why is it there?"
Sometimes it's like a little irritating when he does not listen to me. But the other times I feel very nice for him because he's a very cute brother.
Okay. Everybody listening in, if you have a cute sibling, type in the chat so that I can also see how many of you have siblings. Do you have a cute sibling, or do you get irritated by your sibling? If you get irritated, type I for irritated. If you think you have a cute sibling that you like, type C. Okay, great. And then we've also got Abhignya. Abhignya, hello.
Hello,
Where are you joining in from?
I am joining from Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh, India.
Aha, Tirupati. And what do you think somebody should do if they come to Tirupati? What's the first thing? What's the first place you would take me to if I come to Tirupati?
What? Always people want to go to Tirumala, which is very near to us, 1 kilometer away.
So that's what people want to do. But where would you take me if I come there?
Actually, I think it's better to take you. It's near Tirumala only. It's a big, nice temple with cows are there. It's a Krishna temple. There are many monkeys, and it's much better than Tirumala, where it's crowded always. You can hardly move a step.
Okay.
But
So
in
so you,
this temple, it's a very peaceful temple, and all the people like to go there also. but it's
Okay.
not crowded.
Okay, done. So the next time I'm in Tirupati, I'm going to go to the temple with the monkeys and the cows, and I'm probably going to try and see if I can get some stories from there.
So
Okay,
Darshan, you take your tiny monkey with, and they will both see, oh, you are a monkey, I'm a monkey, and they both will be friends.
right. Great. So here's what we want to do. Okay. Now everybody has drawn the river of life. Now the river of stories, let's say. The river doesn't need to be beautiful right now. You can take time after the call to keep making it better and better and better and better. But for now, how many of you have drawn some kind of a river? Show me, show me, show me. Have you? Okay, okay, okay. I see some river. Great. For everybody listening in, what you can do is after the call, once you are done, you can take a picture with the river and put it on the group as well so that we can see the river too. Now, the tiny mic story is 1 minute from something that happened, something that you felt. So, what we are going to do now is 1 minute at a time. We are going to tell a story, and then I am going to give everyone 1 minute, and you have to tell the story to your parents. Okay, so first I'll tell a story, then perhaps we'll have Adya tell a story, then we have Atharva, and then we'll have Abhidnya. And then I will give you 1 minute, and then you have to tell the story to your parents. So for those of you who are sitting by yourself, see if you can sit with somebody else. It could be a parent, a friend, or anyone else, anyone that you can tell a story with, story to. Okay, so you can move your computer or your phone and go and sit next to them. Here we go. So, ready? I'm going to put a 1 minute timer so that it's easy for us to identify when the minute is done, and everybody at home can also do that. The reason we're doing 1 minute, by the way, is because when we say 1 minute, no, it automatically makes us compress our story to the most interesting part. Okay? So, here we go. In three, my turn to tell a 1 minute story. Three, two, one, go. The other day, Kashish ma'am told me that in the yoga session, everybody was making the clay items. And there were some small kids in different parts of India who had taken mud and clay from outside their house and had started making different things. And that reminded me that when I was a kid, I used to love playing in the rains and mud. I said some time ago that I didn't like the rains, but that was when I was slightly older and I started understanding it. But when I was super young, I used to play in the mud all the time. And every time I would come back, my mom would be like, Are, we have to again wash your clothes. And every time she'd say, Okay, these are new clothes. Please don't go and dirty yourself. But of course, what would I do? I would go outside and I would come back and have all my clothes dirtied. So going from loving playing in the mud to not liking mud to now starting to like rains, it's been quite the journey. That's my tiny mic story. It's already a minute. Okay, so everybody understood that's how you tell the story, and what Abhidnya is doing is great. When you hear a good story, you do this, which is like a virtual applause. Okay, so you could do this, you could type in the chat, or you could like actually clap as well. Okay, great. Next up is Adya. Adya, 1 minute for you to share your tiny mic story. Your time starts in three and two and one, and go.
My brother will irritate me. He will do a mess and he will say, You only clean. He will do a mess and I should clean. I hate that. Today also he ate mango and rice. He threw it along the ground. He was keeping to his face. I was like, Mama, look at him. My mother said, Arey, leave him. He will only clean. And she also said to him the same. I was like, Mama, he will say that only, but I should clean. Mama, please don't say him. Please, now only say him to clean. I was like begging her not to do. But he said he will clean, right? Leave. After the whole mess, he said, Mama, you clean it. And my mother said, we should go to sleep. Now you should only clean it, Adya. Always I will only clean. He will do a mess, I should clean. He will do a mess, I should clean. That's my tiny mic story.
Okay, well done, well done, well done. Let's give Adya a round of applause. How many of you listening also have this story that your younger sibling makes a mess and you have to take care of it? Does that happen with you? So you see, what happens is sometimes when we listen to other people's story, we get idea of stories also. So maybe that might help you come up with different stories too. Okay, Atharva, you're up next. You ready? In three and two and one and go.
Last night I was just seeing a movie, and in the movie there was like some good superhero. He was like very brave and very strong. There was one thing which I was able to relate with him. He was very kind. I was like, I'm also type of kind in my real life. And then something else was there which I could relate. He had like big muscles. I was like, I have a type of muscles. And then there was something very important which I could relate. That guy was bald. And then I was like, oh yeah, I am also bald. And that's how I could relate with him. That's my dynamite story.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's give Atharva a round of applause. That is hilarious. That is very funny. For everyone listening, it does this happen to you? You start watching a movie or you start watching a television serial and you start imagining yourself as being inside the serial. You start thinking, oh, when the superhero is traveling, you're like, yeah, I'll do that also. You see in the superheroes flying, you're like, yeah, I'll do also. Happens with you? Yes. Okay, great. Fine. Amazing. Good. Well done. Atharva, up next, we have Abhignya. Abhignya, are you ready?
Of
Okay, in three.
course.
Yeah, of course you're ready. Yes, in three and two and one and go.
The day before night, at home we had our dinner and watched TV, and we were about to sleep, and suddenly there was a power cut. A power cut on a summer night. I was very angry. I went to my mama and said, Mama, Mama, why should the current go now? Why can't it go later? She was like, okay, Abhinya, it will come soon. Wait 5 or 10 minutes. I waited for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then the current did not come. I was angry, and now I went to my dad and he said, let's go to the terrace. The terrace, everyone has it at home, right? We went to the terrace and it was so calm, as all it was dark at the city, and there were many stars at the sky, twinkling stars, and I felt very happy that it happened today. If it happened today, tomorrow what happened if it was raining? I was very glad. Thank you, and this is my tiny Mike story.
Okay, super. Cool. Everybody give Abhignya a round of applause. Yes, 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 yes. Well done, well done, well done. Okay. Does that happen with you? Do you sometimes like going on the terrace and watching the night sky? Do you start seeing the stars and do you start thinking of different things? Do you start imagining different different stories? Do you start imagining different parts of your life because of that? You do? Yes. How about everyone here? Adya, Abhignya, and Atharva. Now, of course, there are a lot of these games on mobile phones or different things. But do you also find it interesting sometimes to keep all of that away and maybe watch the night sky or maybe watch some trees or some animals? Does that happen with you? Do you like what are the things that you like to do that are not related to the screen or the computer? And you could
I
tell one at a time. Abhignya, yes.
I love reading books, and when I read the books, right? As I read the books, I feel that what would happen if I'm a part of this? What would happen if this is real? What would happen if what could be more and make the story much better? I always think when I read that, and I also love going outside and watch the rainfalls, but I don't like big rains. Like it's so windy sometimes, but I don't go up that time for sure.
Okay, yes. What about Atharva?
I also like to go down and play with my friends, especially in the morning, because in the morning everybody plays outside, so I can hit very big sixes while playing cricket. But at home, when I'm just playing games on my computer, it feels little boring after sometimes.
Okay, okay. And what about Adya?
I like to draw. Sometimes I will feel if I draw, can this be real? Can I take all the things and do a story? Can I do a picture story, not words? I hate to write, so I will draw and do some stories. So
Aha. So, everyone listening in, here's what I want you to think. Yes, it is fun to play games. Yes, it is fun to do things on the computer. But it's always more interesting to do things with other friends of yours in real life. Sometimes it's also very nice to get lost in a book, like Abhidnya said. You get lost in a book and you start imagining yourself in that book. Sometimes you draw and you get lost in the drawing. Sometimes you go outside, play with friends, and you lose track of time. And every time these things are happening, I want you to keep asking yourself, could this be a story? Could this be a story that I could tell? Because everyone think of this. Whenever you say something and other people laugh, whenever you make your friends laugh, it feels nice, no? Yeah, Atharva, Abhidnya, Adya, it feels nice, no? When you say something and then other people, it's such a nice feeling. Whenever you start saying a story, whenever you start telling something, and you realize that everybody's paying attention, that also feels nice. So what we are developing here is the ability to keep our is the ability to keep attention from different people, is the ability. So of course internally we are developing the ability to find stories, tell stories, and with friends and with other people we are developing the ability to hold attention, to make people laugh, to make people feel something, to make people think something. And that's what we want to do. We want to tell stories, not just to tell stories, but we want to tell stories to find beauty in everyday life. We want to tell stories to better understand our emotions. We want to tell stories to make somebody laugh, to make somebody feel something. So, everyone listening in, I would love for you to start thinking of this. In your river that you've drawn, what are the interesting moments? Maybe a teacher said something really nice and it made you think, oh, this is so nice. Maybe she said something and it made you laugh so much. Maybe you did something and showed it to your parents and they were very happy. Maybe you showed it to your friends and that was very nice. All of that can become stories that you can tell. Okay. So, once again, I'm going to give everyone 1 minute to actually tell a story to your parents right in the chat, right in the call. But before that, once again, 40 seconds, we are going to quickly do a recap of everything we've done. So, this will help some of you think of what are the different things that happened, what are the things to put on our river. Okay, everybody ready? Here is once again, it doesn't have everyone, but it will give you an idea of everything that has happened. Here we go in 3 and 2 and 1. Here's the recap. Okay, so with all of that, now is the time for you to tell a story to your parents. Okay, so everyone who's listening in, I'm going to put a 1 minute timer. And what you have to do is tell a story to your parents. Actually, you know what? Abhignya, Atharva, and Adya, why don't you mute yourself? At the bottom, there's a mute button. Mute yourself. And for 1 minute, you also have to tell a story to your parents right now. Okay? But make sure you're mute. Okay? Everybody, mute and tell your story. And this is for everyone listening in also. You are going to tell a story to your parents about something, some kind of story about what happened. What did you feel about what happened? I see some people have already started writing. Great. Okay, so 1 minute for you to tell a story. Your time starts in 3 and 2 and 1 and go. Okay, so that is a minute. Now, for some of you, that probably was not enough time to talk about everything that you wanted. For some of you, you finished in 20, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Even if that is the case, if you are in the middle of your story at the end of 1 minute, that will help you understand how to better compress your stories so that you could start speaking. If you finish your story in 30 seconds and you have to wait out the other 30 seconds, it will help you think of how to expand your stories, how to add more drama, flavor, dialogues, everything else to your story to make it as interesting as is possible. So the 1 minute is 1 minute. And for everyone listening, what you have to do is you have to also ask your parents to do this with you. So you have to tell your parents, now you tell me your story. So you tell them a story first, and then you ask the parents to tell a story. So we're going to do just 1 minute of that, 1 minute, and everybody, even here, tell your parents, okay, you have to tell me a story in 1 minute. Okay, here we go. In everybody, ask your parents to tell you a story in 1 minute. Their time to tell a story starts in 3 and 2 and 1 and go. Okay, so hopefully all of you heard a story from your parents. And if they couldn't finish it in 1 minute, that's okay. You keep doing this every single day, and you will be able to help coach them to tell you a story also. With that said, here's what I want everyone listening to do. I want you to think of what is a nice story that I can make. Then take a phone and record a 1 minute story. That's it, 1 minute story of something interesting, and that you're going to post on the group, on the Facebook group. And when you post on the Facebook group, we'll all be able to see it. So I'd love to see all of your stories. I'm sure all the other teachers who've taken such a lot of effort to teach you, who've taught you all of these different things, all of those teachers come from different spaces. All of them will love to hear any kind of stories that you have about whatever it is that you've learned, what you've done, and so on. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And for now, we're going to say bye to everyone here. So, Atharva, tell me this. As you've been telling different kinds of stories, you could unmute yourself at the bottom, everyone. And as you've been telling different kinds of stories, what has helped you? Like initially, did you tell stories easily? What were the challenges that you had, and what helped you over time?
uh, like My confidence has improved from before. Like my I was always encouraged to say a story. Otherwise, say a story, say a story, say a story. Uh, but now I by myself, without anybody helping me, I could say the story by myself.
So that's
Okay,
that's
there
yes.
is somebody to tell the improvement, but I
Uh-huh.
can tell my story by myself.
Okay. And tell me this. There might be somebody else listening in right now who'd be like, oh, I also feel the same. Like other people, my mom keeps pushing me whenever there are relatives coming in that you tell a story, you tell a story. And I don't want to do that. So what would you advise them? What would you tell them? How can they make the act of telling the story fun also from your own experience?
By the story mountain and the emotion wheel.
Okay, so these are different tools, and everyone listening will learn these tools over the next sessions. But tell me internally, Atharva, initially you didn't, you said other people had to push you to tell a story. And then what happened? Did you start enjoying telling the story? And if yes, why? Why did you start enjoying it?
Yeah, I liked enjoying. I enjoyed telling the stories because, like it, uh, like as my confidence was more bigger, I was able to like I'm still at getting the confidence to talk in front of strangers or give big speeches and in public speaking.
Mhm. But slowly you're getting there, is what you're telling me. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyone listening in, maybe you are somebody who's already very confident, or maybe you're somebody who is just beginning and somebody is pushing you to do it. All you have to do is start small. Start telling 1 minute story. Right? Abhigna, you tell me. Now you could always find different stories. As you are telling different stories, what do you think has changed? Are you starting to go into everyday life and finding stories there?
Actually, when I was a young girl, my mother used to tell stories. From there, I got the interest, and now I'm like, pointing, like, counting every part of my life and thinking, could this be a story? Like that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And
So every sorry, go on,
and
go
my,
on.
and my mother is telling you that I'm thinking of stories before even I before my mother gave me 2 minutes also, and because I'm thinking, when I only see the point when I counted, I think I make the story then itself. So
Okay.
that
So you
makes me get stories more.
right. So you're looking at everyday life and thinking, could this be a story? I know many people who will be listening will also start thinking of this. They'll go through everyday life and be like, oh, Abhinya said, could this be a story? And they'll start thinking, oh, could this be a story? Great. Now, Adya, finally, tell me this. You like listening to stories. What do you
Yes.
like telling stories?
I like to express from what I have in my life. Like if I'm sad, I will say I'm sad today because la la la. If I'm happy, I will say this that. If I'm angry, I will say angry. If I'm frustrated, I will try to always use a hook, but in different emotions and from emotion which we.
Aha. Okay. So for everyone listening, we will cover this. Okay. The emotion wheel and everything. These are tools. We'll cover this tomorrow. Tell me this, Adya, as you are talking about different things, if you are sad and you talk about something that makes you sad, does it actually help you deal with that better? Does it make you less sad after you've told the story?
A little.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then when you're happy and you tell the story, does it like, do you
It
remember?
will be more happy.
Okay. So you see, everyone who's listening in, stories when they're from your own life, from what you see and what you feel, they have so many benefits. One of which is when you start talking about something that perhaps was not very happy, something that made you sad, that sadness also kind of dissipates, as in goes down. And when you're talking about something that makes you very happy, you start feeling happy again. That's why you start smiling whenever you start thinking and telling a happy story. And every time you hear somebody else, whether it's Atharva, whether it's Adya, whether it's Abhidnya, start telling stories from their life, you are thinking, oh, this happens with me also. I also trouble my brother, or my brother troubles me, or my brother also makes a mess and I have to clean it up, or I also, like, all of these things happen with you also. So stories are great because when you tell a story, other people start thinking of it, thinking of stories from their life. So all this to say, I would love to hear your stories. Everyone, 1 minute about anything that happened in the last 2 weeks, in camp, during an activity, during a session, afterwards, something else altogether, anything is fine. And you're going to take any of those stories, make a 1 minute video, and put it on the Facebook group. Is that okay, everybody? Type Y in the chat if that is okay. And then you could say goodbye as we will wrap up this session. So, everybody give a nice rainbow goodbye and say thank you to Atharva, to Adya, to Abhignya, and thank you everyone for helping us learn a little bit of storytelling. Okay, and back to you, Yamini.
Amazing. How many of you did share your stories? You can quickly type a Y again, or you can type an S for a story. No, आप S type कर सकते हो. Did you tell a story when we got the time, or were you thinking about the story? Then you can type T. Could this be a story? Yes, so many of you did share. Okay. Amazing. Now we have put all the links here, okay? So what we want you to do, you have to take a river photo, the river that you drew, and you also mark some points, right? Where is what? That photo you can take and put it on the Facebook group. And those of you want, you all can also record your videos, okay? That 1 minute only, not more than 1 minute, and then also share that. You can upload it on the Facebook group, the Instagram link here. So Darshan's Instagram is Tiny Mike Story. So you can also tag that. Okay. And you all can share whatever stories you want. Okay. Maybe something that you learned in this session and you want to tell a story about that. That could also be a story. Yes. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, Sudarshan, for today's session. We will learn more tools tomorrow. So we'll have Sudarshan back again tomorrow, same time, and we will learn another tool of storytelling. Thank you so much, Sudarshan. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Tomorrow we don't have yoga in the morning, okay? Kal yoga nahi hai. Tomorrow we'll join straight 11:30 for this session. Amazing. If there are some questions, Rainbow Shake, how do you do it? Oh, we learned this also today. No, this was a new learning. How to do. So for today's session, for Sudarshan, for Adya, for Abhignya, for Atharva, did you notice that all three kids, their names started with A? You know? Let's clap for all of them. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Have a very good day. Record lots of stories and share them with us. And we'll see you tomorrow. Back in team, the poster please for Scan Me.